The artificial rain of the Meteorological Bureau turned into an artificial typhoon, and many people's clothes were blown away. Ex-boyfriend messaged me late at night. My underwear was blown away by the wind. I remember you bought me a few new ones before. You shouldn't have thrown them away, don't get me wrong. I didn't specifically find a reason to contact you, or my underwear is really gone. Me, dressed for someone else. I fell asleep after sending the message, but my ex-boyfriend went crazy. To whom? Why did you buy it for me, for others to wear? Why does he wear my pants? Is he as good as me? Can he dress clearly? Abs photo. JPG. Some scheming men's bodies are drunk from protein powder, but I'm the real deal. Do you want to touch it? The house grass does not have the fragrance of weeds. Do you want to try my new perfume? Early the next morning, the video of the top actor kneeling on the ground and crying, and shouting to return my mother's raw panties rushed to the hot search. After half a month of high temperature warning, the Meteorological Bureau decided to cancel the high temperature and implement artificial rainfall because of the start of school. However, due to lack of experience, the artificial rainfall turned into an artificial typhoon, which overturned the balconies of many residents' homes, and the underwear flew all over the sky, which was jokingly called the underwear crisis by netizens. Because of the heavy rainfall, there was something wrong with the circuit in our community, so I put down my phone early and went to bed. I didn't expect to wake up and see the 99+ message Neil Noel sent me. Why do you want to give my panties to someone else? Is his body as good as mine? Won't it be too big to wear? I feel like I've developed a lot again. Do you want to take a look? Give me back my beautiful underwear? Return my girlfriend's pants. And return my new underwear. Really wear it for others. I don't believe it. Abs photo. JPG. Okay, you can talk to several at once, but I have to be the boss. I am very tolerant, and I will definitely run this family for you. I sighed, and just as I was about to explain to him, I received a call from my best friend. Ha 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 ha. Look at the hot search. It's so funny. Your ex-husband seems to be about to become your ex-convict. I somehow switched to Twitter, and I saw Neil Noel's name followed by this big explosive word. Clicked into the hot search, and the top is a video, in which Neil Noel runs wildly in the rainstorm, wiping tears while running. Not only am I confused, but the netizens in the comments are also confused. Is this engaging in abstraction, or filming? Filming in such a heavy rain? Neil Noel is too dedicated, it must be filming. Otherwise Neil Noel can't be chasing the underwear blown away by the wind in such a heavy rain. Such a heavy rain. It is also possible to go to his father to ask for money. Ha ha ha. Such a heavy rain. It is also possible to save other people's ha ha ha. Netizens spontaneously played stocks in the comment area, but they all thought he was filming, until I opened the door and saw Neil Noel curled up in my doorway. Neil Noel's clothes were half dry, her hair was disheveled, her whole body was curled up, and she was leaning against the door frame with her eyes closed, and her cheeks were flushed with an abnormal flush. It should have been in a hurry. He only wore slippers on his feet, and he lost one, and there were fine and dense scars on his feet. Neil Noel. I shook his shoulders and saw that he was too hot to speak. Resignedly, he dragged him into the living room, and found him fever reducer. By the time I had cooled him down, he woke up. Looking at each other, Neil Noel's peach blossom eyes turned red all of a sudden. Sister. Neil Noel's voice was a little hoarse, with a little imperceptible grievance. I touched his forehead and handed him the antipyretics. Just right. I took the medicine. Neil Noel didn't reach out. He just opened his mouth and took the capsule into my mouth. The touch of the tip of my tongue against the palm of my hand was like an electric current flowing through my palm. My heart trembled violently, and I subconsciously put my hands behind my back. Neil Noel still had a tear in the corner of his eye, and his tone was bitter and cold. Sister, I suddenly appeared at your house. My brother won't be angry, I tell you. You can't have a man who is too stingy. He is not sensible at all, unlike me. As long as my sister is happy, I am willing to do whatever I want. By the way, sister, I have been working out recently. Do you want to see the results? I'm a real muscle, not like those fake muscles that eat protein powder. Neil Noel said and tried to undress, but I hurried to stop it. Your agent called you several times while you slept, or you gave her one back. Neil Noel buttoned in frustration and pulled out her phone to call her agent. Sophia, As soon as the phone was connected, there was a roar of a heat-on lion. Neil Noel, are you wrong with running out at night to play performance art? And what else did you tweet? Your Twitter account has been taken over by the studio from today. While Neil Noel was explaining to his agent, I opened Twitter again. I just watched the video of him crying on a rainy night, and I haven't had time to read his Twitter yet. It turned out that after he ran to my door last night, he went crazy on Twitter. The 1148th hour of breaking up with his sister, like he misses her and misses her. I don't know where the vixen came from to go to my sister's house without underwear. It's really scheming. It's hateful. My sister is just playing with them, and my sister must care about me the most. Smart men don't ask more. They are all hotels. I am my sister's eternal home. My sister is so easy to be seduced. I will never laugh again. In order to punish her, I decided to wash her panties with a cold face. Forget about the cold face for fear of scaring her. Then I decided never to use the scented laundry detergent she likes in the future. Neil Noel is cool after going crazy, leaving netizens with question marks. Neil Noel didn't seem to think that the situation was messy enough, and replied to a few fans, no matter who you are, never get down from the actor. Fun people love to watch fun. Is there a kind person to summarize? Too many of my eyes hurt, upstairs. It's probably Neil Noel is a love brain, and he still misses his ex-girlfriend after breaking up. Neil Noel replied, no breakup. There is no breakup. There is no breakup. Neil Noel, say again. I didn't break up. My sister and I are in a relationship. Please don't spread rumors about me again. Otherwise I will take legal measures to protect my rights and interests. Please believe me. My sister. I'm still the romantic handsome guy who likes to walk by the beach with my sister. It turns out that the actor is also licking the dog after breaking up. It's great. I lick it more comfortably and confidently. Neil Noel, I'm not licking a dog. I'm just my sister's little dog. And I didn't break up with my sister. I didn't agree. That's the little love between our lovers. Who the hell is this sister? Neil Noel won't be crazy if she fails. Neil Noel, if you knew who my sister was, you'd envy me too. What's wrong with this woman? Isn't that hanging on to you? Neil Noel, what's wrong with hanging me? There are so many men in the world. Why doesn't she hang others, but hangs me? This proves that I am special in her heart, and there is a reason why she doesn't reply to my messages. True love is silent. Neil Noel had already hung up the phone, and came over and hung up on me. Sister, people are so uncomfortable. Come and listen to me. I'm not flustered, he said, and took my hand and touched his chest. I restrained myself from touching 2 handfuls and stopped in time. Calm down. I wanted him to calm down so I could take his temperature again, but he seemed to have misunderstood what I meant, and choked up while unbuttoning his buttons with red eyes. Sister, don't you want me? Can't my body keep you? I've been exercising lately, and it's okay if you use me as a stand-in. Sister, look at how I'm doing. I shouldn't be unreasonable and mention the breakup first. Neil Noel, pale, carefully tugged at the corner of my coat, and the staccato sobs were especially noticeable in the silent living room. I was about to explain when Neil Noel's agent called again. Cry, cry, cry. You know to cry. The fans have made you cry and run away. Draw a curtain before you undress. There is a paparazzi candid photo on the opposite floor. I turned my head around Neil Noel and saw the light refracted by the camera lens on the opposite floor. I don't know how many sighs I sighed today, but I looked at Neil Noel helplessly. How is your company going to clarify? I'll try my best to cooperate. The female voice on the other side of the phone was stunned for a few seconds, and quickly spoke. Let me have a meeting with the PR department to discuss it. After hanging up, I took Neil Noel's temperature again, and he still had a fever. Go change your wet clothes and dry your hair, and I'll get you some clean clothes. I rummaged through the closet and found only a few floral shirts that my brother had left here. When he handed it to Neil Noel, he was visibly stunned. Sister, it's true that you've always liked this style. Me, probably seeing my speechlessness, Neil Noel quickly picked up her clothes and went to the bathroom. Neil Noel packed up, and Sophia had already sent me the PR proposal. It's very simple and old-fashioned, admitting the relationship between couples and appearing on couple variety shows. As for Neil Noel's actions last night and this morning, It was interpreted as a small conflict between the young couple. When the turmoil subsides, you will officially announce your breakup, and Neil Noel's love brain can attract more fans for him. It is true that I understand that this is the most cost-effective solution at the moment, but when I saw the sentence, the storm subsides, and then the official announcement of the breakup, my heart is still a little sour. Neil Noel saw this too, and he picked up his phone on the coffee table, crackled and began typing. Later, I thought the typing speed was too slow, and I deleted all of them and started to send voices. You take that back sentence. My sister and I won't break up. Don't talk nonsense and put pressure on your sister. Neil Noel and Wendy Dubois are already locked. I swallowed the key, and I will never be separated. Hurry up, otherwise, when I get married to my sister and get married, I won't invite you to the wedding. The agent, though speechless, withdrew the sentence. You don't have a good brain. I don't want to worry about you. I've already sent you the information of the couple's variety show, and the recording will start next week. You'd better give me a good performance. Turning off the phone, Neil Noel looked at me expectantly. Sister, do you really agree to follow me on a couple variety show? Seeing me nodding, his eyes lit up. So I'm still your little good dog. Isn't it good to be human? Then am I still your little good girl? Me, for the time being. Yes, okay, I will definitely work hard to make the temporary one a constant. Neil Noel's whole body burned inexplicably, and his whole body was wilted because of the fever, but now he was simply radiant. Since I'm going to be on a couple variety show, I definitely have to wear a couple's outfit, so I have to buy it. Gee, will we have to cook our own food? Then I'm going to take the time to learn how to cook these days. I heard that the director has a whole set, and it seems that he still needs to learn a few tricks to let him know that he knows how good I am. Sister, don't worry, leave it to me. I will definitely take care of you. The Corner of Love is a live variety show for couples, which has been broadcast for 4 seasons and is a well-deserved ratings king, although the audience was ready for the 5th season to be full of big names. When Neil Noel appeared in the live footage, the barrage was blank for a moment. By the time Neil Noel and I arrived at the recording site, the other guests had already arrived. The luggage had already been moved into the villa by the staff, and Neil Noel took me with one hand and a parasol in the other to the yard. Is this the heroine of the actor, who runs in tears on a rainy night? It's so beautiful. Sister, I am willing to give you 1,314 for my monthly living expenses of 1,500, and the remaining 185 is my height, and 8 are my abdominal muscles. Don't ask me why I am missing 7 yuan because of my love for you, and was sentenced to no 7 prisons. Sister, do you take on that kind of small performance? It's as simple as walking around the stage and exchanging rings with me, with only one line of, I do, and a national level certificate at the end of the line. What do you think? I can finally understand why Neil Noel goes crazy late at night, and I want to be my sister's dog here. Entering the living room, several other groups of guests were already chatting. There were 4 groups of guests who participated in the recording this time. In addition to Neil Noel and me, there were veteran superstar Roman and his wife Ella, and host Olivia and her husband Jackson, who has been married for 30 years, directors Nathaniel and Eleanor. Neil Noel and I were the only ones, out of all the guests who weren't married. At the beginning of the show, it is an icebreaker session. Considering the degree of understanding between couples, each couple has to write their own and their significant others' answers based on the host's questions. It's a cliché link, but the barrage is still looking forward to it. First question, do you have any preferences or taboos when eating? I pondered for a moment and put pen to paper to write down the answer. At the end of the day, Neil Noel wrote all of my words right, but I wrote all of them about Neil Noel. When Neil Noel was with me, he didn't eat green onions, ginger, garlic, coriander, durian, and liked tomatoes and seafood. But Neil Noel's answer about herself is the opposite of mine. Like onions, ginger, garlic, coriander, durian, don't eat tomatoes, seafood allergies. Second question, what type of clothing do you like to wear the most? When I looked at the board, I was still the only one who was completely wrong. Neil Noel, who I wrote, liked to wear a white tee the most, but Neil Noel's correct answer turned out to be a floral shirt. I just noticed that Neil Noel was wearing a colorful short-sleeved shirt today, which was more cynical than wearing a white tee, and the whole person was much less stupid. As a result of the game, the other three groups got all the questions right, while ours got one question right. Looking at the glaring number 0 on the scoreboard, the corners of my mouth twitched. When did you love durian? Neil Noel snorted with a big tooth. I just decided not long ago. The host probably didn't expect that there would be a pair of guests with such low scores, and he was stunned for 2 seconds before he remembered to save the scene. It seems that Neil Noel hasn't coaxed Wendy Dubois yet. Wendy Dubois has written a completely opposite answer. Ha ha ha. The people present were all human spirits, and they laughed a few times before changing the subject. The thoughts of netizens who watched the whole process were also different. Is this really a couple? How can it be a question that is not right? It won't be a contract couple. From another point of view, it's easy to get a low score, and get a score of 0. Didn't you find that the answer written by Wendy Dubois is exactly the opposite of Neil Noel's answer? Ha ha ha. I eat. What a fragrant meal. Go to Twitter and find that the CP Super Talk has already been built. Click in and see that the host is Neil Noel. Neil Noel's 5-year-old fan. I want to say that Miss Wendy Dubois' answer is actually mostly right. Who would have thought that this brother is used to being so fickle? Although the host saved the scene in time, netizens began to doubt my relationship with Neil Noel. At the end of the ice-breaking session, the guests were already roughly familiar with each other. Soon it was dinner time, and the program team prepared a sumptuous dinner for everyone according to the answer to the first question just now. In front of Neil Noel, green onions, ginger and garlic were put in every dish, and the staff also gave him a durian milfoil very intimately. As soon as the durian milfoil was on the table, Neil Noel subconsciously reached out and wanted to cover his nose, but he didn't know what he thought, and put his hand down again. Whoa! Durian was specially prepared, and the program team has a heart. After speaking, he picked up a piece and stuffed it into his mouth as if he were dead. Neil Noel has always been very picky about food, and when he goes out to eat, he is so taboo that the waiter secretly rolls his eyes. When we first got together, sometimes he came back late from filming, and I would cook noodles for him. At first, I didn't know that he had taboos, and he would use green onion and ginger in enthalpy pot. He didn't say anything, but ate hard. Fortunately, there is an aunt at home, and I rarely have the opportunity to cook. Even if my aunt is not there, more often it is Neil Noel who cooks. Later, I saw his assistant say, and I realized that he had so many taboos. After that, I didn't cook with any spices he didn't like. I still remember Neil Noel was surprised and moved when she found out that I remembered his taboo, hugging me like a big dog. He said it was a special joy to be remembered. That night he put on his newly bought uniform, and taught me step by step how to tie his hands behind his back. That night, it rained all night outside the window, and Neil Noel took me soar into the sky. Watching him endure his nausea, and swallow 1,000 layers with difficulty, a nameless fire surged out of my heart. I snatched the fork from his hand, and threw it on the table, pulling him down the hallway. Neil Noel obediently followed me out. Is durian delicious? Neil Noel nodded without changing his face. It's delicious. Yue tilde I think it tastes Yue tilde really Yue tilde very good Yue. Neil Noel. The moment she exited, Neil Noel immediately fell silent. Neil Noel looked down at me. His pupils shrunk, and his whole body froze. Sister, I will change. I am learning to eat durian, and I am not a picky eater, and I will imitate his habits, even if it is completely opposite to me. Can you stop thinking about him? It's okay if you think about him. I just need to have a small place in your heart. I'll be obedient, I promise. Neil Noel took my hand with a hint of humble begging in his tone. Although Neil Noel's words didn't match the words, I got to the point. You've seen the memo on my phone. Neil Noel, who was standing in front of me, heard my words, and a trace of confusion flashed in his eyes, but he quickly lowered his eyes again. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. That's why you didn't have a Cold War with me before your birthday. No wonder Neil Noel was so weird during that time. As soon as I got home, I sat on the sofa in a daze, sometimes asking me some inexplicable questions, and the whole person was as insecure as a stray puppy. I thought it was him. Whatever you've put up in your head, I'm sure it's not what you think. Neil Noel, who had been looking down, looked up at me in amazement. I sighed and explained. The memo is because of Neil Noel. Wendy Du Bois. Why are you still standing here? The audience is in a hurry. Go back and go back quickly. The director of the show came and urged me and Neil Noel to continue recording the show. I'll explain to you when I go back. It's not what you think anyway. There is no first love, no stand-in, only Neil Noel. Neil Noel's dog's eyes lit up instantly, and there seemed to be an invisible tail wagging behind him. Despite the director's presence, Neil Noel leaned down and wrapped her arms around me, and kissed me the lips. Then, with a blank expression, the director happily pulled me to the restaurant. The audience who has been watching the live broadcast also saw the changes in Neil Noel's mood before and after, and they all brushed the screen on the barrage. Hey, when you leave, it's a stray dog, and when you come back, it's a happy puppy. Sister, what did you do to Neil Noel? Neil Noel, control it. The corners of your mouth are about to grin to the back of your head. Neil Noel, everyone cares about whether you lick well or not, whether you are tired or not. I am different. I don't care about you. Once back seated, Neil Noel began to let herself go. While peeling shrimp for me, I didn't forget to step on a few other male guests. Sister, this shrimp is not delicious. Sister, are you thirsty? Do you want to drink some soup? Sister, eat some vegetables? This tastes good. Sister, try this. I heard that it is a specialty here. Sister, am I too annoyed? It's all because I like my sister too much that I want to take care of my sister in every detail. I'm different from those men who only bury their heads in eating and don't take care of their other half. I only feel sorry for my sister, Jackson, Roman, and Nathaniel, who only care about their own food and not taking care of their other half. I sandwiched a chicken leg for Neil Noel and whispered a warning. Eat more, talk less. I want to laugh when I think of Neil Noel's death as an actor. And sometimes I even wonder if his mother didn't carry him to the hospital on the day of the rainstorm. I feel like Neil Noel is the kind of person who tells him that he can help check his parents' gender, and that he will pay you in seconds. Neil Noel doesn't look like a real person. Sister, pay attention. It's really not good to feed a pack of rat poison to try. If you die, it's a mouse. After eating, the program team also arranged after-dinner games. Vulgar you draw, I guess. The winning group can be the first to choose the room. The other groups are all couples for many years, and they all cooperate very tacitly. It's not that I don't have confidence in me and Neil Noel. I'm not confident in my skills. Neil Noel knew my awesome elementary school drawing skills, so she volunteered to be the one who painted. In the first question, Neil Noel drew 3 hair dryers, oversized, large, medium, and small, and the other guests in the barrage were confused. And I blurted out, Peppa Pig. In the second and third questions, no matter how abstract Neil Noel's drawings were, I could quickly guess what he was trying to say and give the correct answer. At the end of the game, our group was the same as Nathaniel, who had studied drawing professionally. The guests all half-jokingly asked the director if he gave us a thorough question. How did Wendy Du Bois do it? Neil Noel's drawings are not vivid, but they are also bullshit. How did she guess it? The abstract degree of Neil Noel's painting. Mondrian has to call him Big Brother when he comes. Damn. My sister is so powerful, and Neil Noel is so happy, thanks to Neil Noel. Although the drawing is average, the main points of the expression are drawn, so it is easy to guess. Listening to my compliment, Neil Noel shuddered. He crossed his hands on his hips, and pouted at the camera. I won't consider receiving the manuscript for the time being. Barrage. Who asked you? I mean, who asked you? 0 of us asked you. No one asked you at all. If he can, then why can't I? Picture, to evaluate it, not glass heart. I know that there is shisho in the eyes of my lover, but sister, don't spoil him too much. Let him listen to the truth occasionally. Do you know what art is? You old hats. The style of these paintings painted by my brother is obviously very much Daffin's shadow. You didn't let him go upstairs. At the end of the game, our group of guests went back to tidy up after choosing the room. There were no cameras in the room, so as soon as I got back to the room, I pressed Neil Noel to the couch. Sister Tilda, you haven't taken a bath yet. Are you in a hurry? Why don't we wash together? Hey, me, sit down. probably seeing my serious expression. Neil Noel was serious. Why did you chase me in the first place? The first time I met Neil Noel was at a cocktail party, when he was just starting out and was embarrassed by an investor, and I helped him out. After that time, we met a few more times by chance, and each time Neil Noel was very proactive. We were together after a come and two. Of course, it's because I like you, Neil Noel replied quickly, in a tone that didn't seem like a fake. 2 years ago, we met by chance at a bar, and I heard you talking to your friend. I took a deep breath and slowly exhaled it, my expression a little complicated, and recalled with a wry smile. At that time, your friend said, although she is older than you, she has money and resources, and she doesn't lose money with her. So when you become popular in the future, it's better to kick her and find a younger one. That's why you always thought I was with you, for your money. I nodded. In fact, my feelings for Neil Noel were very complicated from the beginning, probably because of the influence of my parents' discord. I have never believed much in love, and even now I firmly believe that people's hearts are fickle. But in modern society, men and women can break up even if they are together. A young and sexy body doesn't lose anything to be a bed partner. However, I don't know, when Neil Noel began to occupy a heavier and heavier place in my heart, I told myself that it was all a joke, and that I shouldn't give it my heart. But in the midst of lingering again and again, I still couldn't control my heartbeat for Neil Noel. I can only masochistically recall that scene after sinking again and again. She's older than you. It's not a loss to be with her. Kick to find a younger. I've been with Neil Noel for almost 2 years, and I've been screwing for almost 2 years. It wasn't until 2 months ago, the day before Neil Noel's birthday, that I heard him on the phone. He said, "Don't worry, I'll have a showdown with her in the next 2 days. I'll take care of our relationship, and it won't affect my career." During that time, Neil Noel had a strange attitude towards me, and I thought he was tired of it and used cold violence to force me to break up. So a second before Neil Noel blew out the birthday candles, I brought up the breakup. But I didn't expect Neil Noel to show up on my doorstep after the rainstorm. Twitter went crazy, and the paparazzi secretly filmed. The rest was out of my control. I was on this show with Neil Noel to say a decent goodbye to our past. Speaking of this, Neil Noel seemed to realize something at once, and whispered, "Is it possible that I just like you and that's why I pursued you to be with you? There is a big misunderstanding between us, so if you have any doubts, say them all at once, and I can explain them. First of all, you said about the incident at the bar 2 years ago," Neil Noel explained, looking up. "That man was brought by my friend, and if you listen a little longer, you'll know that as soon as he finished speaking, I poured wine on him and beat him up. Later, I found out where Neil Noel beat someone who was a taekwondo coach, and it was Neil Noel who was beaten, and he had to say that he was beating each other. I had a blue nose and swollen face for half a month, and I was embarrassed to come to see me. And the night before my birthday, I said I had a showdown with her," Neil Noel said, taking a deep breath. "It's because I read your memo, and there's a title about him, and it's about a man's preferences and don't eat it, and these are the opposite of me. I thought you always had a first love in your heart, and I was just your pastime, and you would follow me when he came back. Break up. Sure enough, as soon as he comes back, you can't wait for a moment, and you don't even spend your birthday with me on your birthday." Neil Noel made a series of accusations, and I was a little helpless, so I tapped him lightly on the head. "Have you ever seen anyone looking for a stand-in, who will find the exact opposite of their first love?" Neil Noel was stunned for 2 seconds, as if she understood something, and hurriedly asked, "Who is the men's shirt in your house 2 days ago?" "My cousin stayed at my house for a few nights. You said that our brother's vision is quite special." Me started to climb relatives again. "Then the underwear you bought for me was also worn by my brother?" I shook my head. "No, my brother has a dog and hasn't been trained to pee in the open, and my brother's diapers are too big, so my underwear." I thought Neil Noel would be angry, but I didn't expect him to have a calm face. "That's fine. It's not for other bad men to wear that memo." I sighed, rubbed his hair, and explained with a wry smile, "It's you in the memo. My parents were in a business marriage, and the relationship has always been bad. After giving birth to me, They seem to have completed their task, and had their own families outside. Their marriage is full of shrewd calculations, for the sake of union of interests. Never let your opponent know your whole cards and weaknesses. That's the first lesson they taught me. So I've been afraid to let Neil Noel know how much I love him. There are 9 points of love for him, and I will only show 3 points. Besides, at that time, I always thought that Neil Noel was with me for profit, and I didn't want to admit me fell in love. As long as I don't admit that I love him, I won't be pinched. So I can't let anyone know what I care about and know about Neil Noel. I've been hypnotizing myself. I'm not in a relationship with Neil Noel. I'm supporting him. So even if it's going to end, I have to end it. The reason is ridiculous, but it is really my truest thoughts. So you remember every little habit I have. Remember all my taboos. Remember every one that is special about me. Days. Neil Noel's eyes widened suddenly. His earlobes were slightly red, and he was excited and excited. I hated to admit it, but I nodded in the end. Yes, that's right. I remember. Neil Noel's mellow Adam's apple rolled, and her voice was a little hoarse. Sister, you love me. Yes, I love you. It's all now, and there's nothing to deny. Neil Noel's eyes turned red all of a sudden, and his clear eyes instantly became foggy. I was about to say something, but before I could say anything, my lips were gagged by Neil Noel. My heart fluttered, especially in the silence of the room. Neil Noel's lips were warm, as if with electricity, and the force of the kiss seemed to swallow me whole. I was so flushed and limp that I raised my hand to his neck to keep my balance. I love you too, sister. After a kiss, Neil Noel confessed to me in a hoarse voice. Neil Noel's breathing was still a little rapid. His cheeks were slightly red, and his lips were still shiny, making him look extremely astringent. I shook my head, my gaze wandering, not daring to look at his face again. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll be beastly and knock him down at the recording site. After talking to Neil Noel thoroughly and clearing up all misunderstandings, this guy began to let himself go completely. The daily performance is to pull me wherever I go, and to stick to me at every turn, although we are in love. Neil Noel's non-stop sprinkling of dog food still aroused the majority of netizens. Dissatisfied, therefore, at the strong request of netizens, the program team specially arranged a day for men and women to separate activities. Neil Noel, who learned the news, blackened her face on the spot and angrily scolded netizens. Why do you want me to separate from my sister? Don't you have your own wife? Yes, that's right, Neil Noel. Your wife doesn't want you. I won't say who is happy if someone told him now that he could join the women's team, as long as he wore a skirt. Neil Noel would wear women's clothes. But no matter how unhappy Neil Noel was, we went our separate ways. The program team let the male and female groups act separately in order to create a breaking point. So today's theme is things you want to try but don't do. The 4 of them took turns to be the captains, and they took the other 3 to try together what they had always wanted to do but didn't have a chance to achieve. Things. After following Ella, Olivia and Eleanor to try bungee jumping, making desserts and driving a race car, it was already getting dark. I directly brought the group into the KTV, and then ordered 10 male models in one go. I've heard from my sisters that this service attitude is good. Neil Noel has been strict before. I haven't tried it, but today I want to see it. Even if he knew, I could still excuse myself by saying that the show needed he. From the moment I walked into the KTV, the barrage was boiling. Hey, is this something that can be broadcast? Sister really has a vision. The quality of the male model in this house can be said to be the highest in the city. I have been to another one before. I don't want to say the men in it. I have to call the police to say the degree of robbery when I eat my fruit plate. The camera didn't shoot the signboard. Which one is it? Which one? Which one? I have a friend who is about to have a head connective tissue group cutting surgery, hair cutting, and I want to know the address of this shop before the surgery. Don't let Neil Noel know, or he'll drop the pearl again. Okay, I'm going to Neil Noel's live broadcast room to swipe the screen. Ha 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 ha. These male models are not only handsome, but also have a good personality, and are very good at getting things done. In less than 10 minutes, the 3 sisters who were originally cramped to resist were coaxed into laughter. Not only us, But netizens in front of the screen also began to hiss. God, if I can talk to them once, I will live in a villa with assets of 5 billion. And I am willing. If you can give me a man like this, I can accept the other 9 to give me. This is the day when our big women have changed. We study and work hard every day. What's wrong with ordering a few male models? Take 10,000 steps back. Can't these men take the initiative to pursue me, and give me another 100 million? After relaxing with the 3 sisters, I returned to the villa, and the members of the men's group had already arrived home. Neil Noel was cooking in the kitchen, his face cold. Do you need my help? Neil Noel shook her head with a cold face. It seems that he probably already knows about the male model I just ordered, and I am a little weak and have nothing to say. Let's put some sugar in the tomato scrambled eggs. It's delicious. Neil Noel glanced at me, and put some sugar in the pot with a cold face. What are you doing today? I'm going to play games at an internet cafe. Although unhappy, Neil Noel answered my questions indifferently. It's that simple. He didn't know where that sentence ignited Neil Noel. And he seemed to be even angrier. The whole person was bulging, and his eyes were red. I'm filming outside, and I've been thinking about you all the time, worried that you won't be comfortable recording a show alone for the first time. But you're good, and you're very adaptable. You're still ordering male models. You still touch their abs, feed them drink, and eat the fruit they feed you. I scratched my head weakly and explained dryly, oh, I'm just playing with them. I still love you the most. Seeing Neil Noel's expression a little relaxed, I started to make up nonsense again. That's all the needs of the show. They ordered. I didn't dare to order it because I was dirty. I sat on the side and sang, and waited for them to come. My baby is so handsome. How can I go outside to find those? Neil Noel's black face was much less severe, but I don't know what came to mind, and his face darkened again. HMPH. Rhetoric. In general, in this case, it is the right thing to do. So you're endless. Is it interesting for you to be so vexatious? We big women work hard outside every day, and we have to look at your face when we come back. I apologize. What do you want? Forget it. What do you like? I'm tired and go back to my room to rest first. Neil Noel saw that I seemed to be really angry, and immediately panicked, and hurriedly chased after me. Netizens participated in this shura field throughout the whole process, and they shouted on the barrage that they had learned. This is a little familiar. I didn't hear it clearly, and then I tasted it. My sister is right. Our big women are tired enough to go to work, and these little men are still unreasonable. It's really ignorant. Wendy Dubois, playing Neil Noel is like playing with a dog. Neil Noel is really. Our sister is so tired after a day of shooting, and I have to look at his face when I go home. It's really not virtuous. As soon as I entered the room, Neil Noel followed. As soon as I entered the door, he hugged me, hummed and apologized. Okay, sister, I didn't mean to be pampered and arrogant and not give you face. Of course I believe you, but the bad men out there are so scheming, and my sister is so beautiful. What if they seduce you? Oops. Sister, actually, I wasn't angry at all, but I felt a little embarrassed to coax Neil Noel for 5 minutes in front of all netizens. So no matter how coquettish Neil Noel was, I couldn't help but smile and keep my face strained. During dinner, Neil Noel kept talking to me, peeling shrimp and serving soup, and I thought about it before I gave him a good face. After dinner, the other 3 groups went out for a walk, and I went back to my room with some work to take care of. After closing the computer, Neil Noel came slimy. After a bit of warmth, Neil Noel brought up the afternoon's events again. I didn't mean to be jealous. In fact, I was very generous and tolerant. It's all my fault. I'm too inferior. I think my sister is so good, and I was chased by the school flowers and grass at the same time when I was in college, so I was in a hurry. Neil Noel, I remember explaining to you 1,000 times that the school flowers and grass of our university are 2 stray dogs. Now where is the university that is full of school evaluation flowers and grass? Anyway, I don't care. Sister, you're so good. I don't have a sense of security. Then what kind of security do you want? Neil Noel's eyes rolled and began to move in. For example, get a national certificate or something. Just that red certificate, good boy. Wait for me here. You want to marry me without flowers and rings. The thought of this makes me even angrier. In the next second, under the witness of the audience on the whole network, the top Neil Noel was kicked out of the room because he made his girlfriend angry. You sleep in the living room for me at night. Neil Noel knew that she wanted to save face at this time, and held the quilt pillow to the camera, and said hard to all netizens, "My sister loves me very much. I will coax her by just talking about it. How was I kicked out of the room? I wasn't kicked out of the room. I propose to sleep on the sofa in the living room. I grind my teeth, and snore and fart when I sleep. I'm afraid it will affect my sister's rest. Anyway, my sister loves me the most, so she was reluctant to kick me out, and said that I took the initiative to ask for it." Baraz. Neil Noel has the hardest mouth all over the body. Neil Noel, the outstanding graduate of our dog-licking class. If Neil Noel dies and is cremated, there will be only one mouth left, and he won't be able to burn it. The end.